couple weeks talked a lot about and Googled Project 2025. It's one of the most Googled search terms right now. And you're not going to get any censorship from me. So I just wanted to know, from your perspective, I think it would help us understand on just like a scale of 0 to 100%, how much do you support Project 2025?
I think, like President Trump, I haven't looked all that deeply at Project 2025, but it seems that Democrats on this committee, sort of like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, if they say Project 2025 enough, their presidential candidate becomes alive again.
And so, well, let's just talk about pieces of it, and I guess you can tell me if you support it. You probably want less bureaucracy, right?
I do.
I want less bureaucracy. You want more efficiency?
I do.
I want more efficiency. You want taxpayer money spent wisely?
I do. Congrats on becoming a Republican.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents would be proud. Mass deportations, it calls for that. Do you support that part?
I support the deportation of any illegal immigrant who is in the United States who is not of benefit to the generalized American public.
So if they're picking agriculture that puts food on the tables of everyday Americans, they've never committed a crime inside the United States, they didn't come across with documents, should they be deported?
If they have not paid taxes and if their draw on the taxpayer benefits are larger than the contribution they are making to the economy, or if they're involved in criminal activity, they should be deported.
How do we measure that?
The same way that the IRS measures my income every year. It seems like if the IRS can track down every aspect of every receipt that I've ever submitted, and
so
they can do so for hundreds of millions of other Americans, they can do that for illegal immigrants as well, except for the fact that no one knows how many are in the country thanks to this administration.
So you would be cool with creating a system where they could pay those taxes if they wanted to and then stay and work and put food on our table?
It depends on how long it would take for them to pay the taxes, and they would also have to go presumably to the back of the line, although I'm not sure why I'm testifying about immigration policy at this point.
How about banning the abortion pill? That's part of Project 2025. Do you support that part?
I think that that's a state-by-state issue on a personal level.
I'm just asking you.
Sure, I'm
There's nothing funnier than Ben Shapiro being like, Heritage Foundation, I don't know what that is. It's like, bro, come on. Literally every talking point that you've ever delivered on your broadcast has been a verbatim Heritage Foundation talking point. Why is the House Judiciary Committee holding a hearing? Collusion in the Global Alliance for Responsible Media? I don't understand this. It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny when he's like, I don't understand Project 2025. I don't know what it is. It's like, no, you love it. You're lying. And he's not even doing a very good job lying. He just like basically is trying to... Trump campaigned on big programs in 2015. Thank you, Central Committee.
Security. We're not going to cut Social Security, but please don't say we're going to make it rich, Mr. Trump. It's Chris. I said, I have to say it. I have to be truthful. We're going to save Social Security. We're not going to cut Social Security. We're not going to cut Medicare. You know, Carson wants to cut Medicare. He wants to get rid of Medicare. I say, you know, it's actually a program that works great. Now, you have waste, fraud, abuse in Social Security and Medicare. We'll take care of that. We'll have proper, but you're not going to be cut. You've been paying into your plans. You've been paying into Social Security for years. Now they're coming up to you. It's getting to be that time. Me, I don't want the Social Security. Okay? But it's getting to be that time where you're going to need it. And I think it's unfair. After all these years, they want to cut you. Governor Christie wants to raise the age so that you have to wait another, you know, pretty extended period of time. It's not fair. You've been paying in for years. We're going to take money back from all these countries that have been just absolutely eating our lunch. We're going to have so much money. So I said to the...
There you go. There you go. Like, those are very important sentiments expressed by the person who then successfully became the president, okay? Like, you need to understand. He presented himself as a moderate on a lot of popular issues within the Republican base and maybe even changed the attitude. Some for the worse, some for the better. When it comes to social spending, the Republicans were less upset about that sort of thing. It actually became like the deficit hawking kind of fell apart. You rarely ever talk about the deficit. You only talk about it under Democratic leadership usually. That's all the Republicans ever talk about. The deficit, the deficit, the deficit, the budget, blah, 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 right? Under Trump, that attitude shifted so much that Republicans don't even talk about it as much, even under the Democratic administrations. I'm telling you, I mean, this is like, I have no actual data to basically present to you on this. I have no like empirical evidence that I can point to on this issue This is simply coming from my past 10 years of being a professional political commentator and like dealing with the deficit hawks when Obama was president, dealing with deficit hawks when Trump was president, and seeing the much more limited communication of deficit hawking under the Joe Biden administration. What? Moderate Trump? Yeah, I did. I started watching this. I watched this in the beginning, and then we did a 30-minute stun log on China because people were coming in here repeating shit like, oh man, what do you think about the Filipino boast that the Chinese are taking over? Of course you have no data. What? I don't think there's a lot of data on how much people talk about the deficit. All you have is as of the top of the hour. I already ran it.
I do sometimes.
Oh, I'm going to talk about how hasanpiker became the most successful and hated political streamer. It did really well views-wise. Maybe. Oh, yeah. Hasanabi Productions clipped this and posted it before we could clip and posted it and got 230,000 views in 20 hours. Anyway, throw a rock at it. Yeah, that'll change its trajectory. As I was saying, Donald Trump presented himself as a moderate in 2016. He could not do so in 2020, but he can kind of try to do to some success in 2024. And that's precisely what he's doing. Okay. That is precisely what he's doing right now. I'm sure by now, some of you in the chat have seen the Republican agenda, okay, for 2024. Let's take a look. With just one mention of abortion, Republican Party has laid out its 2024 policy platform. Dedication to the forgotten men and women of America. Preamble, America first, a return to common sense, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here are the items. Seal the border. Stop the migrant invasion, carry out the largest deportation operation in American history, which is, of course, incredibly radical, but unfortunately, 60% of the country is now on board with it, while simultaneously they're also on board with giving amnesty, but that's besides the point. We're not going to talk about the confusion that Americans experience on a daily basis. It is a sea of contradictions. The American voter's mind is an enigma. End inflation. Make America affordable again. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. So the reason why they're saying defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms is because they're trying to be like, oh, we're not the anti-democracy candidates. We promise. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. End the weaponization of government against the American people. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Crush gang violence. Lock up violent offenders. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it, without question, the strongest and most powerful in the world. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content in our children. Keep men out of women's sports. Bro, they put two like weird. They're still such weirdos, bro. This kind of stuff is just weirdo. Okay? And I think it's a mistake. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. Okay? And then it goes into it a little bit. But if you notice, like, obviously, by the way, America first, also deport anyone who's mean to Israel. America first. But deport anyone who's mean to Israel. Do you understand? If you hurt Israel's feelings, you will get deported. Felix is going to be here in like 20 minutes, by the way. Anyway, more recently, Trump has made sure to try to distance himself from the controversial and lengthy Project 2025 policy document put together by some of his allies. Notably, the promises don't mention anything about abortion as Trump attempts to de-emphasize the issue and appeal to swing voters. In the entire platform, the word appears just once in a statement about the party's dedication to protecting the issue of life. It reads, "We will oppose late-term abortion." After appointing the Supreme Court justice who helped overturn the constitutional right to abortion, he said the issue should now be up to the states. I've terrorized Israel with my opinions. You will get deported. Other social issues appear more frequently, including promises related to limiting federal funding for schools, teaching so-called critical race theory, and keeping men out of women's sports. So overall, overall, their policy platform is just like ridiculous nonsense, reads like a Trump rally, hyper focusing on immigrant crime, Biden immigrant crime, and immigrant invasion, all this and then has a few choice ones on if you hurt the feelings of Israel, the beautiful nation state, we will deport you. But ultimately, you know, this is supposed to be, to our eyes, this obviously is radical nonsense, right? But to the average voter, when they look at this, it's just the Trump rally. Depending on how hard he hits the immigrant line, he might be able to, you know, gross out. He might be able to gross out the normie voters. But overall, he is distancing himself from Project 2025 because a lot of people see that. A lot of people on TikTok, a lot of people on Reddit lose their minds over Project 2025. And he doesn't want that stink on him. And plus, he thinks it's nerd shit. Too much reading.